It's 5:30 a.m. Time for these men to jump out of their cots and stand at attention. But what you see here is not boot camp. These men are not soldiers. They're convicted felons, prisoners. And this is shock incarceration.
Baseline, take it out. Sir, yes, sir!
Once they've showered and dressed in their sweats, the inmates must line up in formation in a central courtyard called the grinder.
1, 2, 3, go, we love PT.
Every day they go through nearly an hour of non-stop physical training, all under the watchful eyes of drill instructors who bark out their orders and control the cadence. The whole idea behind shock incarceration is to instill a military type of atmosphere and attitude among these convicts. As if the calisthenics wasn't enough, with the sun rising over the hills of New York's southern tier, off they go on a 2-mile run. The Monterey Shock Incarceration Camp in a remote corner of Schuyler County near Corning is one of 3 such facilities run by the state. It's an intense program that offers nonviolent felons the opportunity to cut down on their prison sentences by months and even years. After completing 6 months, they're released from prison on parole. Captain Matt Whitmore has been a corrections officer for 31 years. He says he believes shock incarceration is making a difference.
When parents come to pick up their sons after 6 months, they don't even recognize them. They walk differently, they talk differently, they act differently.
You really change them.
We don't change them, they change themselves. We give them the tools to change themselves.
Those tools include more than physical exercise. Every detail of their lives is strictly regimented. Their dress, their hygiene, and even the way they eat.
The theory is to break them down and then build them up.
The inmates are required to undergo drug and alcohol treatment and counseling, a classroom education, and join in work crews to assist surrounding communities. When it started back in 1987, shock was geared toward young men who committed nonviolent crimes, but it has since expanded to include repeat offenders, women, and convicts up to the age of 49. Christopher Kosinski is a 40-year-old father of 3 daughters from Messina, sentenced to 3.5 years for dealing cocaine. He will shave 2.5 years off that sentence by completing shock incarceration.
My attitude's totally different toward everything. My behaviors are different. I used to be pretty wild, and I used to just act out before thinking about it. Now, this program's changed me all the way around.
Since 1987, 46,077 inmates graduated shock incarceration. The savings to taxpayers amounts to nearly $1.5 billion. The rate of recidivism, those who commit crimes after their release, is 26.4% compared to 42% for ex-cons from conventional prisons.
Yes, sir.
But not everyone is a fan of shock incarceration. DA Bill Fitzpatrick is upset that Corrections Department will grant criminals early release through shock programs without informing victims, prosecutors, or judges.
It's really an administrative usurpation of a judge's power and sometimes a jury's power.
Nevertheless, shock incarceration has been part of the prison system now for 26 years, and the state claims it works.